"You're not going to drink your orange juice?" Dio asked, tapping the edge of the glass in front of Ifeoma with his fingertips. She blinked, snapping out of her thoughts. "Oh, sorry. I'm a little dizzy. The baby was moving a lot last night." Dio smiled without looking up from the tablet he was holding. "You need to rest more. You're carrying our little princess." She forced a smile and brought the glass to her lips. The citrusy taste of the cold juice offered a momentary relief, but not enough to ease the exhaustion pressing on her shoulders and eyelids. She was 6 months pregnant, and even with all the care her doctor recommended, her mind wouldn't slow down. The house, located in an upscale neighborhood of Abuja, was quiet that Saturday morning. The windows were open and a light breeze swayed the dining room curtains. The smell of toasted bread still lingered in the air. "The workers are coming later to fix the pergola thing," Dio said, finally putting down the tablet and getting up to pour more coffee. "Still want that wooden deck out front?" "Of course, it'll be perfect for the baby shower. We can get great photos out there." Ify gave a faint smile. She was excited about the shower, sure, but lately something had been bothering her. A nameless discomfort. "Oh, and remember Adaora's coming to spend the weekend." Dio said it like it was a casual reminder, but Ifeoma froze for a second. "Yeah, she told me yesterday, said she'd get here in the afternoon." "Great," he replied, already facing away, stirring the coffee pot. "Your sister has good taste. She can help with decoration ideas." "Sister," Ifeoma thought, watching his reflection in the surface of the coffee. Adaora wasn't her full sister, but her half-sister. They shared the same father, different mothers. They grew up in separate households but formed a bond through family gatherings in their teens. Ada had always been bolder, more outgoing, more seductive, and lately, a little too helpful. The week before, Adaora had stayed at their house for 2 days, saying she wanted to help with the baby preparations. And Ifeoma had noticed the touches on Dio's shoulder that lingered a second too long. The glances, the shared laughter during whispered conversations in the kitchen. "If she wants, she can take the guest room upstairs," Ify said, getting up slowly with her heavy belly. "Wouldn't it be better to let her have the downstairs room? You can barely manage the stairs now." "I'll manage. The upstairs room has more space and more privacy." Dio nodded, but didn't say anything. Hours later, Adaora arrived with a small bag, her long braids swaying and wearing a shirt that was far too tight to be casual. "My gorgeous sister," she said, hugging Ifeoma at the door. "Look at that belly." "If it gets any bigger, I won't fit through the living room door," Ify replied, trying to keep things light. "And where's the baby daddy?" Adaora asked, glancing around discreetly. "In the office. He had to take care of something on the computer," Ify answered, watching her sister's shifting eyes. They walked in, and Adaora dropped herself onto the couch like she owned the place. "What perfume is that?" Ifeoma asked, catching the strong scent in the air. "Oh, it's a new one. Dio recommended it last time we went out to buy the crib." Ify felt a chill run through her. "You two went out?" "Yeah. He asked me to help him pick one. I thought you knew." Ify squinted, trying to hide her surprise. "Of course, he mentioned it." But Dio had never said a word. That night came quickly. Dinner was quiet, filled with forced smiles and broken silences. Adaora excused herself early and went upstairs, saying she needed a shower. Dio stayed in the living room, watching a game on TV. Ifeoma said she was tired and went upstairs too, but instead of going straight into the master bedroom, she headed to the bathroom. Minutes later, a discomfort in her belly made her head back downstairs, something between a cramp and a tightness. She tried not to raise concern. She grabbed a coat and the car keys. "Heading out?" Dio asked from the couch, eyes still glued to the screen. "Just a quick trip to the hospital. Nothing big, just to be sure." He stood up. "You want me to come?" "No, it'll take 20 minutes, tops. If it's anything serious, I'll call." He hesitated, then nodded. All right, let me know. At the hospital, the doctor did a quick check and said it was just mild muscle strain, common at her stage of pregnancy, nothing to worry about. Back home, Ifeoma pulled into the driveway and turned off the headlights. The clock read 11:45 p.m. The lights in the living room were off. She walked in quietly, light-footed on the marble floor, careful not to creak the stairs. The hallway was silent, but then a faint sound, muffled behind a door, caught her attention. Laughter. 2 voices, male and female. She approached the guest suite she had assigned to Adaora. The female laughter grew louder, then a voice she knew too well. Ifeoma is sweet, but naive. Silence. Stifled laughter. When the baby's born, I'll straighten everything out. More laughter, a kiss. The heavy breathing of 2 bodies tangled in the room. She had prepared herself. She stepped back but didn't flee. Reaching into her purse, she grabbed her phone. Heart racing, she opened the voice recorder. She moved closer, capturing every word, every breath. If it weren't for this pregnancy, I'd have left already. A woman's laugh responded, You're cruel, Dio. She closed her eyes and hit save. Nearly 6 minutes, almost an eternity. Her feet felt like stone as she returned to the bedroom. She shut the door gently, sat on the edge of the bed, and looked at her belly. I'll protect you, she whispered. For me. And for you. The house remained silent. But inside Ifeoma, a revolution had begun. Do you want tapioca or just scrambled eggs? Adaora asked, already standing in the kitchen, wearing one of Dio's oversized shirts like it was the most natural thing in the world. Ifeoma leaned against the doorway and watched in silence for a few seconds before answering. Eggs are fine, with a bit of tomato. Adaora turned her back to her, the spoon clinking against the pan as the smell of olive oil filled the air. The morning after the night of discovery felt like any other. Soft sunlight pouring through the windows, the quick footsteps of neighbors heading to the market, and the distant sound of Fuji music playing on a radio. But inside Ifeoma, there was no sunlight. No softness, only strategy. She sat at the kitchen table, adjusting the napkin in her lap. Her eyes seemed calm, but her fingers slowly pressed into the fabric's edge. She didn't look directly at her sister. Not yet. Dio left early, Adaora said casually, without turning around. Said he had to go to the office to deal with some paperwork. Really? Ifeoma replied. He didn't tell me. He seemed tired. I think he stayed up late, working. Ifeoma lowered her gaze, hiding the scream that wanted to burst from her throat. Instead, she looked at the phone on the table. The recording of the betrayal was saved, renamed, copied to 2 flash drives, and had already been emailed to herself. Dio's voice was there, his words, his lies, Adaora's muffled laughter, now pretending to be nothing more than a helpful sister making breakfast. The kitchen door opened slowly, revealing the figure of her maternal aunt, Mama Njideka, who had been living with them since the beginning of the pregnancy. Breakfast ready yet? She asked with a smile. Yes, Auntie. Ada made eggs, Ifeoma answered sweetly. Oh, this girl is a blessing, the aunt said, taking a seat. Help sent straight from heaven. Ify just smiled, but inside she was already calculating her next moves. After breakfast, she went upstairs with the excuse of needing rest. As soon as she closed the door, she called her godfather, Mr. Chuka, who lived in Lagos and was one of the main investors in Dio's company. He answered on the second ring. Ifeoma, my dear, how are you and the baby? We're okay, Uncle, but I need to talk to you about something serious. Go ahead, my child. Everything all right with Dio? He called me this week asking for more investment extensions. That's what it's about. I need you to freeze any new investments in his company. Pull out what you can. What happened? I can't explain over the phone, not yet, but I'm asking you as your goddaughter, as the daughter you always said you had. Please, do this before any new movement. I'll send you a formal message soon. But I need your trust right now." There was silence on the other end. Heavy, uncertain silence. "Ifeoma, if this is really serious, I'll trust you. You've given me reasons before. I'll start making calls today. Are you safe?" "I am. But give me a few hours. You'll understand everything soon. I'll be waiting. Take care, my daughter, and take care of that child with strength and calm." She hung up and let out a deep sigh. She walked to the mirror, placed her hands on her belly, and stared at her reflection with resolve. We're not falling. We're rising. Right after, she pulled up the number of her trusted lawyer, Mrs. Bukola, and made the call. "Ifeoma, good morning, dear. How are you and the baby?" "Ah, Bukola, I need an urgent consultation, but I also want you to begin immediately reviewing our prenuptial agreement. I need to understand the terms for full custody and how to proceed with a quiet divorce. No scandal. Not yet." The lawyer was silent for a few seconds. "This is really serious." "Absolutely. Do you want me to come to your house?" "Better to meet somewhere else. No one can know yet. Late this afternoon. I'll send the location." "All right. Also, send me any digital documents you have. I'll prepare emergency measures." "Thank you." Before ending the call, Ifeoma looked once more at her phone screen. She opened the audio and played the first few seconds. His voice, the mockery, the betrayal alive in every word. This wasn't just a marital disappointment. It was an attempt to erase who she was, to reduce her to a human incubator. She put the phone in her purse, walked downstairs calmly, and found Adaora lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone. "Ada, I'm heading out to pick up a few things for the baby shower." "Alone?" "I just want to get some air. I need it." "I can come with you if you want." Ifeoma smiled. "Stay here. You'll help more by resting. The baby appreciates it." Adaora laughed and made a heart with her hands. "Go with God, Mama." Ifeoma waved and left, but she didn't go to the store. She went to a small electronics shop where she bought a Bluetooth audio adapter, 2 new memory cards, and a discreet portable speaker. From there, she went to a cyber cafe where she printed a dossier containing the marriage certificate, banking information, screenshots of conversations and transfer statements, everything she knew Bukola would use to fast-track the legal process. Before heading home, she stopped at a small restaurant, ordered pineapple juice, and sat quietly, watching the cars go by on the street. In that moment, more than ever, she felt like two people: the pregnant woman, body heavy and heart shattered, and the strategist, cold, clear-minded, with a defined mission to rip off Dio's mask in front of everyone, at the right time, in the right place. She placed a hand on her belly and whispered, "Mommy's handling everything, I promise." When she returned home, no one noticed anything. Adaora hugged her like nothing was wrong. Dio still hadn't come back, and the world carried on, unaware that inside that quiet, elegant woman, a volcano was growing, ready to erupt. "Where were you?" Dio asked, suddenly appearing in the doorway just as Ifeoma was rubbing coconut oil on her belly. She glanced over her shoulder, calm. "At the market. Then I stopped by the pharmacy. Had some light cramps. You should have called me. I could have taken you. I didn't want to bother you." He walked closer with a smile. He tried to wrap his arms around her from behind, but Ifeoma subtly pulled away. "I'm sweaty," she said, putting the cap back on the oil bottle. "I'm going to take a shower." Dio hesitated, then stepped back. "All right, I'm going to check on a few things in the office. Be back after lunch. Want me to bring you anything?" "No, thanks. I don't have much of an appetite today." He looked at her for a few more seconds, then left, leaving the door slightly ajar. Ifeoma stood still, listening to his footsteps descending the stairs. Only then did she sit on the edge of the bed and pull her phone from her bag. On the screen, 2 unread messages from Bukola. I have the documents. Meeting confirmed for 6 p.m. in the private room at Mandisa's as planned. I suggest bringing any recordings on a physical backup. I can bring an encrypted flash drive if you prefer. Afi responded quickly. Bring it. I have copies too. See you there. She stood up slowly, hands pressing against the sides of her belly. Every step to the bathroom felt more deliberate than natural. She needed to stay in complete control. Nothing could go wrong. At lunchtime, Adaora made jollof rice with fried plantains and brought a tray up to Ifeoma's room. Made it just the way you like, she said, smiling like the most devoted sister in the world. Thank you, but my blood pressure's a little low. I'll just have some water for now. Ife, you have to eat. The baby... I know how to take care of my daughter, she replied firmly, her eyes locked on Adaora's longer than usual. The other woman hesitated, then gave a nervous laugh. Okay, Dr. Madame. Adaora left, and Ifeoma locked the door behind her. She took out the newly bought Bluetooth device, tested it with her phone and the recording of the betrayal. The audio was crystal clear. Distinct voices, revolting laughter, moans, and her name being mentioned like it was a burden. She opened the folder with the marriage documents and certificates. She sorted everything that could serve as proof of their union, assets, and dependence. She grabbed the extra flash drive and made one more copy of the recording. Then she placed everything in a simple but sturdy bag. At 5:42 p.m., she left the house alone. She left Adaora distracted on the porch with her phone and told her aunt she was going to meet a friend. When she arrived at the restaurant, Bukola was already there, seated in a reserved area at the back, far from prying eyes. She wore a modest dress and discreet glasses, but the folder on the table revealed the weight of the conversation. Ifeoma, the lawyer said, standing to greet her with a reserved hug. Are you ready? I am, even if it still hurts. Sit, let's begin. For over an hour, the 2 women reviewed clauses, discussed the terms of judicial separation with sole custody, asset freezing strategies, and ways to avoid early exposure. He can't know anything yet, Ife emphasized. I want him to think everything's under control. Are you going to confront him? Not directly. I want everyone to see it at once, and not in court. It'll be just like he did it. No warning, no respect. It'll hurt him the way it hurt me. Bukola nodded, eyes sharp, her demeanor professional. And regarding the child, do you want the support handled through litigation or pre-negotiated? I don't want his money. I want distance, safety, and freedom. Understood. When they finished, the lawyer handed her an emergency asset protection contract. Sign here. This ensures that at least part of what's under your name is protected. Tomorrow I can formalize the judicial filing, but we'll wait for your signal. Just tell me when. Ifeoma signed with steady hands. It'll be next week, on his birthday. What irony? No, justice. Back home, night slowly settled over the neighborhood. Yellow lights flickered on across the dusty streets and small shops. Ifeoma returned to find Dio watching TV, his legs stretched across the couch. Hey, babe, he said casually. How was the outing? Peaceful. I just needed some air. She walked past him, feeling disgusted even by the sound of his voice. She went upstairs and lay on the bed with her eyes fixed on the ceiling. Outside, Adaora laughed loudly at something on her phone. Inside the room, Ifeoma didn't cry. Instead, she began to write. She grabbed a notebook and pen and listed names. Close friends, respected uncles, influential church members, people who needed to be present when the truth came out. She wasn't just planning to leave, she was planning to expose. And every woman on that list would be reminded of her own worth when she saw what a pregnant woman, betrayed by her sister and humiliated by her husband, could do with a single audio file and a broken heart. Around 10 p.m., Dio knocked on the bedroom door. "Babe? Yes? You coming downstairs? I have a headache. Want me to bring you some tea?" "No, I just want to sleep." "You've been acting strange lately. Are you sure everything's okay?" She took a deep breath and replied in a soft tone, "Everything's perfect." He seemed relieved. "All right, get some rest. I'll be up soon too." "Good night, Dio." She turned off the light. In the dark, one hand resting on her belly and the other under the pillow where she hid the audio device, Ifeoma whispered, "Everything is perfectly set." "Ife, have you decided on the party theme yet?" Adaora asked, sitting on the porch with a tablet in her hands, scrolling through photos of decorated cakes. "Dio's birthday is coming up, and so is the baby shower. You need to choose soon." "I'm still thinking, but I want something simple," Ifeoma replied, carefully slicing pineapple in the kitchen. "Simple, the daughter of Chuka Madweme. Girl, please, this baby is already a celebrity before she's even born." Ife forced a smile and said nothing. She just kept slicing silently. Outside, the sunny afternoon made everything look far too beautiful for what she felt inside. It was strange, knowing what she knew, carrying that truth in her gut while carrying her daughter. But it still wasn't time. That week, the plan moved forward in silence. The meeting with Bukola had resulted in a clear timeline. The audio would be revealed at the right moment in front of the right people. The attorney had already drafted the divorce petition, the request for sole custody, and the temporary suspension of financial support. Everything was just waiting for the spark, the public event where it would all come crashing down. And that event was drawing near. Dio's birthday. Ever since they got married, he insisted on big parties, filled with political friends, business partners, and respected pastors from the city. And now, under the pretext of celebrating their baby on the way, he suggested a joint celebration. "It's going to be beautiful, babe," he had said 2 days earlier, excited. "I want to give an emotional speech for you and our daughter. The real emotion will be your silence after mine," Ifeoma had thought at the time. She agreed, smiled, said she'd love it. And now, with Adaora sitting just a few feet away, pretending to be the most involved sister in the world, she felt every piece falling into place on the chessboard she'd been quietly setting up. Later that same day, after confirming the venue, the same event hall where they'd hosted their engagement dinner a year earlier, Ifeoma contacted the sound and lighting crew. "Do you still use Bluetooth wireless mics?" "Yes, Mum. We've got the best. It's included in the standard package." "Great. Are the speakers strong?" "Very powerful. Mr. Dio always requests top quality." "Perfect. This is going to be an unforgettable event." She hung up and immediately tested the small portable speaker she had bought days earlier. Discreetly, she tucked it inside her decorative bouquet. Yes, she would carry an arrangement in her hands, saying it was in honor of her daughter. The device fit perfectly. That night, after everyone was asleep, she stayed alone in the living room for nearly an hour, listening and re-listening to the betrayal recording. The clarity of the voices, the laughter, the disgusting whispers, the words that would destroy Dio's image in seconds. "If it weren't for this pregnancy, I'd have left already. She's only good because of the baby. After the birth, I'll control everything." She recorded her own reaction, fists clenching, eyes welling, but no tears fell. This wasn't pain, this was preparation. The next day, she began assembling the final guest list. She chose names carefully, people who blindly believed in Dio, pastors who used him as an example, church women who claimed Ife was lucky to have such a complete man, neighbors who called him husband of the year. She wanted all of them there. 2 nights before the party, Dio appeared at the bedroom door with a small box in hand. "Got something for you," he said with a sweet smile. Ify looked up from the book she was pretending to read. "What is it?" "A pendant. It has our daughter's name engraved on the back." She took the box, opened it slowly, and watched the piece glisten under the warm glow of the bedside lamp. "Amarachukwu," she read softly. "It's beautiful." Thought it suited her. Suited you. She closed the box gently. "Thank you." "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside her on the bed. "You've been so quiet lately." "Pregnancy is tiring, Dio." "You don't seem tired, you seem distant." She looked at him calmly and said, "Sometimes you have to be quiet to observe better." He didn't understand, smiled, confused, and kissed her forehead. "Get some rest tonight. The party's going to be beautiful. I want you shining beside me." "Oh, I'll shine, Dio, just not the way you expect." On the day of the event, Ifeoma woke up before sunrise. She packed her bag with documents, backups, the hidden speaker, and the copy of the divorce petition, all tucked into a false compartment in her purse. By 5 p.m., the hall was packed. Impeccable decor in shades of blue and gold, balloons, lights, photo panels of the couple, and phrases like, "Our family is our greatest gift." Dio wore a white suit with gold accents. He looked like a king before the crowd. He passed out smiles, handshakes, played with the kids, and leaned in to kiss Ifeoma's forehead in front of the cameras. She wore a beige lace dress, fitted over her belly, and held a small white bouquet between her fingers. No one questioned it. She was elegant, they said, so classy. "The pastor's about to go up," the event coordinator said. "Then Mr. Dio's speech, followed by yours." "Perfect," she said, walking calmly to her reserved seat near the stage. The pastor stepped up and spoke about family, blessings, children as God's inheritance. The crowd murmured, "Amen," and Ifeoma kept her gaze locked on Dio, who couldn't stop smiling. Then came the moment. "Now, we invite the birthday celebrant, Dio Madueme, to thank his friends and his wife for this special celebration." Applause. Dio stepped onto the stage confidently, took the mic. "Today is more than a birthday. It's a celebration of life, of unity, of the woman giving me the greatest gift of all, my daughter. Ifeoma, my queen, you are my world. I love you. I love our family. I love the future we're building." Cheers all around. Ifeoma gave a tight smile. Then the MC announced, "And now our star of the night, Ifeoma Madueme." She walked slowly to the stage. The entire hall fell silent. Dio stepped aside to give her the spotlight. She took the microphone, breathed deeply, and said, "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here to celebrate this moment. I truly planned something special for today, a real gift, one that no one here will forget." She smiled, brought the bouquet to her chest, and with a gentle motion, pressed the hidden button on the arrangement. The hall's sound system exploded with audio. A voice filled the space. "If it weren't for this pregnancy, I'd have left already. She's only good because of the baby. After the birth, I'll control everything." Dead silence. The audio continued. Laughter, muffled moans, and Adaora's name being spoken. The crowd froze. Eyes darted from the stage to Dio, who turned pale, then to Adaora, who was already trembling as she stood, trying to slip out quietly. Ify held the mic firmly. "That's the voice of the man who says he loves me, the voice of my sister, who sleeps under the same roof as me. This was recorded less than 2 weeks ago, in my own home." Gasps, whispers, women covered their mouths in shock. "This is my birthday gift to you, Dio. The truth, out loud." He tried to step closer. "Ify, please." She stepped back. "Don't you dare touch me." The videographer's camera kept rolling. Some guests were already live streaming on Instagram. The bomb had detonated. "Today, I'm not just leaving a husband. I'm leaving shame. I'm leaving lies. I'm leaving pain." She took off her wedding ring, let it fall to the floor, then stepped down from the stage, every eye following her. The hall doors opened. The night breeze touched her face. Freedom at last had a sound, the sound of truth. "Ifeoma! Ifeoma, wait!" Dio shouted, running after her in the event hall parking lot. She didn't stop, didn't even look back. Her long dress dragged lightly along the ground, and the bouquet, now just a disguise for the device that had just demolished a life built on lies, remained steady in her right hand. "Ify, please, let's talk. It was a mistake." She turned only when she reached the car, the interior lights on, and the driver already opening the door. "It wasn't a mistake, Dio. It was a plan. A plan you had plenty of time to cancel, but chose to repeat." He stopped 3 steps away, face slick with sweat, eyes filled with panic. I didn't think it would get to this point. I thought that I'd never find out, that you could control my life with this baby, that you could use me to look like a decent man." She got into the car without waiting for a reply. The door closed. The driver shifted into reverse and pulled away slowly, leaving Dio alone under the flashes of phone cameras, stunned stares, and a humiliated sister trying to disappear along the side of the building. Minutes later, the videos were already spreading. The sound of betrayal. Ifeoma's icy speech, the moment she dropped her wedding ring on stage. "Is this real? Did you hear what she said? It was recorded in her own house. He slept with his own sister-in-law, my God." The clips spread like wildfire across Nigerian social media. Hashtags like "wife's voice," "a pregnant and powerful," "birthday unmasked," and "betrayal on mic" shot up the trending topics on X and Instagram that very night. At home, Ifeoma lay on the living room couch with her feet propped on 2 cushions. Her belly was heavy, but her heart was light. For the first time in months, her aunt, Mama Njideka, sat beside her with an unreadable expression. "You planned all of this, Ify? Every detail." Her aunt gripped her hand firmly. "And you were brave. I would have screamed, cried, thrown things, but you were dignified." Ifeoma closed her eyes for a moment. "I didn't do it just for me. I did it for all of us. I wanted every woman in that room to see that pain doesn't have to be silent, that the baby in your belly is not a sentence to accept humiliation." Her phone rang. It was Bukola. "It went public faster than I expected," the lawyer said. "I've already had calls from 2 TV networks and 3 news outlets. Do you want to give interviews?" "Not now. Let the video speak for itself for a while." "Understood. And the divorce filing? Go ahead with it tomorrow. I've made all my decisions." "And the assets? He won't give me anything. He'll lose everything without me having to take it." After hanging up, she noticed dozens of WhatsApp messages. Friends, cousins, college classmates, some with long voice notes offering support. Others in shock, many saying the same words, "You're a hero." But the message that brought tears to her eyes came from an unknown number. "Hello, Ifeoma. My name is Neka. I was about to give up on myself after 11 years in a marriage filled with lies and betrayal. Today, I saw the video of your speech, and I left home with my kids. Thank you. You gave me strength." Ifeoma let the phone fall onto her chest. Silent tears rolled down her face, not of sadness, but from the impact of knowing her pain had become someone else's freedom. Across town, Dio sat slumped in his office chair. Lights off, phone on silent. His mother's voice echoed on speaker. "Tell me it's not true, Dio. That recording is fake, right? Tell me you didn't disgrace our name in front of pastors, clients, neighbors, with a pregnant woman, your wife." "Mom, I didn't think. She supported you through the entire pregnancy. She trusted you. And you threw it all away for a filthy bed with her sister?" He hung up before she could finish. The phone buzzed again. His main investor, Mr. Chuka, had sent a blunt message. "All funds frozen. Contracts terminated. Good luck." Dio ran his hands over his face. His life was unraveling with every notification. His business partners wanted distance. Employees avoided his messages. His sister, Adaora, had vanished. Even his secretary requested leave for reasons of public embarrassment. Later, lying on a cheap hotel bed, phone in hand, he saw a video of a group of women in a beauty salon watching Ifeoma's speech in silence, tears in their eyes. At the end, one of them said, "That woman isn't weak, she's free." That same night, Ifeoma received a call from the pastor of the church they used to attend. His voice was calm, but shaken. "Sister Ifeoma, I want to apologize on behalf of the congregation for not seeing what you were going through, and I want to commend you. Your courage. It was a sermon no preaching of ours has ever matched." She thanked him, then hung up. Before bed, sitting in the armchair of her room with her belly exposed, she felt her daughter kick hard. "You saw that, didn't you?" she whispered. Mommy spoke. Mommy stood up. "And now, baby, now we start over." The lights went out. The city stayed awake with her name on its lips. But inside her home, silence finally meant peace. The sun had barely risen when Ifeoma opened her eyes. The house was silent, except for the soft hum of the ceiling fan. She stayed in bed for a few minutes, letting the warm morning air touch her face. Her belly shifted gently, as if her daughter were also waking up slowly. She got up carefully, went to the bathroom and washed her face. The mirror reflected a different woman. No makeup, no jewelry, no filter, but something new stared back at her. Strength, peace. In the kitchen, Mama Njideka was brewing ginger tea with lemon leaves. "Did you sleep well?" she asked, pouring the steaming liquid into an enamel cup. "Like a child. I didn't think it would turn out like this, you know. I've seen women abandoned, betrayed, humiliated, but I've never seen one rise the way you did." Ifeoma smiled, holding the cup with both hands, maybe because no one ever told them it was possible. Later that day, sitting in the living room with her laptop on her lap, Ifeoma began to write. The words flowed as if they'd been waiting inside her for years. "I was a wife, an expectant mother, and a partner to someone who only wanted control. But when I discovered I was being betrayed under my own roof, I realized it wasn't love. It was possession, and I wasn't born to be property. I was born to be free." That was how the blog Mother and Free was born, a space she created to tell her story and support other women. In the first few days, she wrote 3 posts. Simple, direct, with the tone of a friend who sits beside you and holds your hand. The site was shared on social media by a friend, and within 48 hours, it had over 5,000 views. On the 3rd day, she received an unexpected call. "Hello, is this Mrs. Ifeoma Madwem?" "Yes, who's speaking?" "My name is Kioma. I represent the Standing Women Project, an NGO that supports victims of abandonment and domestic violence. We've been following your story online. We'd like to invite you to speak to a group of women." "A speech? Me?" "Yes. Your story has touched many lives. You're not just an example, you're a voice." Ifeoma hesitated. She had never imagined herself speaking in public, much less about something so personal. "I'm not an activist, I just did what I had to do. And that's exactly why we need you." The following week, dressed in a simple blue dress, belly visible and gaze steady, Ifeoma stepped onto the small stage of a community school. About 40 women waited in silence, seated on plastic chairs. Some with babies in their arms, others with eyes full of expectation. She held the microphone with both hands, took a deep breath. "My name is Ifeoma. I'm 30 years old, and a month ago I was just a wife trying to make it work. Today, I'm a mother at peace and a woman standing tall." Her words landed with immediate impact. Some women cried, others stood and applauded. One, wearing a floral blouse, approached at the end and said, "I lived in silence for 7 years, but after your video, I spoke." And yesterday I left home with my 2 children. Thank you." That night, when Ifeoma returned home, she was exhausted, but at peace. The site had now surpassed 12,000 followers. Volunteers were translating her posts into local languages. She called her lawyer. "Bukola, we need to register the blog as an organization. I want to turn it into something bigger, a center, a shelter, a real space." "Are you sure about this?" "I've never been more sure of anything." With help from friends, relatives, and Mr. Chuka, her godfather and Dayo's former investor, she rented a small house in the Woos neighborhood. They painted the walls white, added 3 chairs, a simple table, and hung a banner that read, "You are not alone. Here, you are heard." On opening day, a young woman arrived holding a baby. She wore torn clothes, was barefoot, and carried a plastic bag with crumpled diapers. "I don't know where to go," she said, her voice cracking. Ifeoma embraced her gently. "You're here, and that's what matters most." In the days that followed, the space welcomed teen mothers, wounded women, abandoned wives, and forgotten widows. Some came just to listen. Others spoke. Many simply cried in silence. Ifeoma never judged. She just sat beside them, listened, and wrote. She offered a glass of water, a clean cloth for the baby, a sincere hug. Meanwhile, Dayo's life crumbled in silence. Clients vanished. The office building was emptied. The investment firm terminated all contracts. No employee chose to stay, and Adaora, blocked on all social media, expelled from family gatherings, and ignored even by her mother, she disappeared. One afternoon, the doorbell at Ifeoma's house rang. The doorman brought a brown envelope. Inside, a handwritten note. "I know I don't deserve a response, but I have to ask for forgiveness. I'm living in the countryside now. Nothing I lost hurt more than losing the right to see my daughter born. If you ever allow me to apologize in person, I'll be ready." She read it, folded it, and placed it inside the drawer beside her wedding ring, without anger, but also without return. The next day, while nursing a baby that wasn't hers, the child of a woman she had taken in, Ifeoma whispered to the little girl, "You'll grow up hearing the truth, okay? Around here, we don't fake happiness. We build freedom." And for the first time in weeks, she laughed out loud, a real laugh. The sound of rain hitting the zinc roof was what alerted Ifeoma. She was folding towels in the bedroom when the sharp, firm, unmistakably real pain struck. She bent forward slightly, holding her belly with both hands. "Mama Njideka," she called out, her voice trembling. "I think it's starting." The older woman appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. "Now?" "Yes. The pain. It's different this time. It's real." Mama Njideka rushed to grab the pre-packed hospital bag while Ifeoma leaned on the chair, breathing deeply. Her daughter wasn't waiting for the final month. It was as if she were saying, "Mommy, I'm ready for the world you've cleared for me." Within minutes, the driver arrived. The rain was falling harder now, washing the streets clean as the car moved slowly through the city's curves. Ifeoma groaned softly, trying to stay in control, her face damp with sweat and focus. "You're going to be all right, my daughter," her aunt said, gripping her hand tightly. "You made it this far. You'll finish in glory." The hospital was ready. Nurses rushed to meet her, a rolling bed already waiting. The lights felt too bright, but the doctor's calm, steady voice grounded her. "Stay strong, Ifeoma. Your daughter is almost here. Just one more push." She closed her eyes. In that instant, Dayo's face disappeared. Adaora's voice faded. The judgmental eyes of the past ceased to exist. She was there, alone, owner of her body, her story, her strength. And then came the cry, a new sound, innocent, powerful. "It's a girl," the nurse announced. When they placed the baby in her arms, Ifeoma cried for the first time in a long time. But it wasn't pain. It was peace. The certainty that everything she had endured had brought her to this moment. Amarachukwu, she whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. Grace of God. In the days that followed, the news spread. Social media lit up with messages. The daughter of the woman who refused to stay silent is here. Ifeoma is now a mother in body and mission. Welcome, Amarachukwu. You are already a symbol. Even Pastor Daniel, the church leader from the congregation she and Dio once attended, sent a handwritten card. You may not have stood at the altar as you once dreamed, but God gave you a new stage. May your daughter grow up witnessing the strength only free mothers carry. During midnight feedings, Ifeoma often thought of the women still trapped by cruel husbands, complicit families, or fear of starting over. And so, even amidst diapers and nursing sessions, she didn't stop. She returned to the support center with Amarachukwu tied to her chest in a colorful wrap. The women who arrived were moved at the sight of her. You came back so soon. She's my mission, she said with a smile. But so are you. A new banner was hung on the center's wall. The woman who walked now teaches others to run. And so the days passed. Every diaper changed was a reminder that she had won. Every bath given was a symbol of renewal. Every laugh from her daughter, a hymn of victory. Dio never reappeared. Just once he tried to reach out through a distant aunt, but the response was clear. The door closed the day she chose to be happy. As for Adaora, she remained absent from the public sphere. Her name became a warning in women's circles in the community. Be careful with those who smile too much around you. One afternoon, while sitting in the garden with Amarachukwu sleeping in her lap, Ifeoma saw her father approaching. His eyes were downcast, his steps slow. There's something I never told you, he said, sitting beside her. She looked at him with curiosity. When your mother and I got married, I failed. I had an affair. She found out and chose to stay. But she died carrying that wound, even though she never said it out loud. I watched it kill something inside her. Ifeoma listened silently. When I saw what you did, I realized my daughter didn't inherit our submission. She inherited freedom. She smiled. Thank you, Papa. No, thank you. For teaching me how a man should be held accountable, and for showing me that the daughter I raised is stronger than the world ever expected. They sat there in silence, watching the overcast sky. The scent of damp earth filled the air. Then Amarachukwu stirred, letting out a soft murmur. She looks like you, her father said. She's better. She was born from chaos, but she'll be raised in truth. That night, while the city slept, Ifeoma held her daughter's tiny hand and whispered, You are not a reminder of pain. You are the seed of liberation. And she fell asleep with a heart finally at rest. The morning was warm and clear in Abuja. The sound of birds blended with the distant hum of traffic, and sunlight poured through the open window of the small white office with freshly painted walls. A sign hung above the door in bold letters, Mother and Free Center, you are not alone. Ifeoma sat on a simple wooden chair, Amarachukwu wrapped snugly against her chest in a blue and white cloth, sleeping peacefully. In front of her, a 17-year-old girl named Favor wept quietly, her trembling hands resting in her lap, eyes swollen. He told me that if I ever spoke up, no one would believe me. That they'd call me ungrateful, Favor whispered. But when I saw your story, I knew my voice could carry weight too. Ifeoma held her hands firmly. Your voice matters, Favor, and you'll never walk alone again. Since the center's official opening, dozens of women had passed through its doors, some with children in their arms, others with hollow eyes. Ifeoma received them one by one, not as a figure out of reach, but as someone who knew, who had lived it. Her blog, Mother and Free, had now become a foundation. With support from her lawyer, her aunt, friends, and even former acquaintances who once judged her, Ifeoma built a simple but functional structure: psychological support, legal referrals, donations of diapers and food, and most importantly, listening. Listening saves lives, she would say, because pain grows in silence. On social media, she was called the woman who became a shelter, the voice of the silenced, the mother who screamed for her daughter and for all. Interview requests, live streams, conference invitations poured in, but Ifeoma declined most of them. "I'm not a celebrity," she would say. "I just started walking when I was pushed." One afternoon, while rocking a Marachukwu, she received an unexpected message. It was from Camilla, Dayo's younger sister. "Ifeoma, I don't know if you'll respond, but I want to thank you. Yes, you exposed my brother, but you freed me too. I grew up watching him get praised by everyone, even while doing wrong. You showed that truth is also justice. That silence is the real shame. Thank you." Ifeoma read slowly, then replied, "Thank you, Camilla. I'm glad that amid so much pain, something good took root." That same week, she received another invitation, a conference at a local university. The theme: resilience and motherhood in the face of emotional abuse. She hesitated, but accepted. "This will be my first time speaking to young people," she told Mamanjidika. "Then speak with truth. You have plenty of that." The auditorium was full: students, professors, mothers, even a few men. She stepped on stage with Amarachukwu tied to her chest, dressed in a little floral romper. The room fell silent. "I'm here because I know the pain of shame, the weight of guilt that was never mine. I was pregnant, married, and being betrayed by the two people who were supposed to protect me. I didn't scream. I planned." The audience listened in total stillness. Because screaming brings relief, but exposing brings change. She told it all: the audio, the stage, the aftermath, the messages she received, the women she had welcomed. "And I'll tell you this: being a mother is not a prison. Being a wife is not the end of your dignity. If the place you're in asks you to die inside just to keep appearances on the outside, leave. Live." When she finished, the applause echoed for long moments. Some students cried. Professors hugged one another. A man in the back stood up and said, "Thank you for reminding us that strength also wears a woman's face." That night at home, sitting on the porch with her daughter asleep in her lap, Ifeoma opened her email and saw a new headline on a news blog. "The woman who dismantled a marriage became shelter to hundreds." She didn't click. She simply smiled. Dayo, at that same moment, was watching a video of the speech on his old phone. Alone, in a rented studio apartment in the countryside. His company, his car, his status, his friends, all gone through the cracks of arrogance. He paused the video at the moment Ifeoma held her daughter and said, "Amarachukwu was my liberation." Dayo lowered his head. "I lost a woman who became a multitude." The next morning, Ifeoma received a visit. It was Peace, the young woman who had arrived months earlier, scared, holding a baby with nowhere to go. "I got a job," she said, smiling, "and I brought these leftover diapers. Someone else might need them." Ifeoma hugged the young woman and took the diapers with emotion. "You walked, Peace, and you didn't fall. Because you gave me solid ground." At the end of that day, Ifeoma sat at her desk. She opened a notebook and began to write, "I didn't wear a veil at the altar. I wore truth. I didn't carry a ring, but I held my daughter. I didn't get a man's blessing, but I had peace in my heart. If that's not a marriage with life, then I don't know what is." She closed the notebook, kissed her daughter's forehead and said, "The world will still try to silence voices like mine, But as long as you breathe, my daughter, I will speak." And in that golden dusk, with the scent of wet earth in the air, Ifeoma knew. She didn't win just for herself, she won for all. And now, no one walks alone.